All right, so here we go. A bunch of Cyberpunk news to go over right now, including but not limited to the following. We've got something going on June 2022 related to Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to talk about how this could actually be potentially significant to Cyberpunk during the summer of 2022. Plus, a lot of us are wondering why in the world was that Jackie sequence just a cinematic at the beginning of the game? Well, guess what? The directors and the creative talent behind Cyberpunk opened up about why that sequence was not playable at the beginning of the game. So finally, we get official insight as to why that was. And we're going to be talking about a VR experience is coming to Cyberpunk here, hopefully in January 2022. Now, this is unofficial stuff. This is through a mod because mods are saving games nowadays, left and right. Let me tell you what. But yeah, let's dive into this right now. Let's do this. First of all, starting with this headline right here. Let's get this up. It says right here, CD Projekt Red is releasing a $500 Cyberpunk 2077 watch in June that incorporates blockchain technology. What in the world does that even mean in the first place when something incorporates blockchain technology? I'll explain in just a moment. Plus, get into the details on how this could actually be significant to the game itself during the summertime. But yeah, we have the watch right here. As you can see, it's pretty cool looking. Let me know what you think of the actual watch itself, but $500 is pretty pricey in this economy, let me tell you what. Now, first of all, we have Jose who says this: how do we begin to rebuild player trust and respect? Blockchain, LOL. Genius. So you can see that a lot of fans here that are replying to this aren't very happy. We have Black Mammoth 25 who says it incorporates blockchain technology. What the hell does that even mean? So we have some insight as to what that means here. The Burb says, so the blockchain thing, that's literally just your certificate of authenticity. Like, that's it. They just paired it with the watch to validate it and prevent knockoffs as well. Amazing. So that's your explanation as what's going on with blockchain, blockchain, cryptocurrency, all this crazy stuff that's happening in this world. But anyway, as we continue, we have Hayes who says 10 out of 10, this thing don't work on release. You know what? Expect it. That's just how it is anymore. Then we had Anduin who says, read the room, CD Projekt. Damn. Yeah. The level of tone depth here is pretty unreal. However, around June, summer 2022, things could potentially change big time. Check this out right here. We have this headline, and it's very, very interesting. It says this: summer 2022 is the best time for Cyberpunk's DLC expansions to launch. There's a lot riding on Cyberpunk's upcoming DLC expansion, so it makes the most sense for CD Projekt to wait until summer 2022 to release it. And you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me as well, because also you have to remember fall 2022 is going to be super crowded with new AAA experiences. I promise you that. I think 2022 is going to be absolutely crazy when it comes to AAA games releasing. It's going to be, I think, one of the most crowded years for gaming in quite some time. So CD Projekt is going to have to time this, and related to this new watch that's being released, it would make sense for them to release a big expansion, new update to the game around summer 2022, potentially in June, alongside an expansion. And then you have this new merch watch and things like that would release alongside it. That makes sense to me. Now, they could release the watch in June 2022 to prep people, and then finally release, of course, the expansion late summer. But we could see delays, of course, with this sort of thing. Now, there's no official release date on expansions or price points for that matter. But this article goes on to say this: while several updates and hotfixes were implemented to Cyberpunk throughout the year, fans who didn't already refund the game still maintained a critical distance until further patches. However, it wasn't until patch 1.3 this August where players started to slowly return to the game in an attempt to gauge how far Cyberpunk has come since launch. And it's true, they saw some of their biggest peaks during an update during summer when it really wasn't overcrowded. Perhaps they noted this and were like, summer seems to be a really good time to release updates for Cyberpunk, really significant updates. So going off that trend, I would expect something potentially in summer, especially since we're seeing this weird watch thing as well as we ride our motorcycle through the city. All right, so let's keep going here. Now we have this one right here. It says Cyberpunk director explains why you can't play all those missions with Jackie. Yeah, it was such a bummer for a lot of us that those missions were just experienced as a quick cinematic intro type scene. I was really disappointed. I'm like, man, this would have been so cool to experience. But let's go to the article right here. Again, sources in the description below. It says the question why those missions and sequences in the montage couldn't be playable, and now CD Projekt Red has finally an actual answer to give. On the Story Mode YouTube channel, the senior cinematic designer and narrative director both answered about this, and they go on to say this right here. They say, from my perspective, if we spent those 6 months here with Jackie from the screenplay structure point of view, it would be stretching it for super long, and then here the actual action starts. And it starts at the end of the heist when you get the chip with Johnny Silverhand in your head, expanding the game on this part, just like doing gigs with Jackie around the city. Sure, it's cool, but it's just open world formula with a particular goal for the character or conflict, and just like this guy trying to earn some money, but there's no real tension to it. Once you start dying and the cyber terrorist from the past is in your head, that's where the tension arises. I kind of understand where they're coming from with this one, but I also kind of disagree as well, because tension isn't everything in storytelling. Sometimes bonding with characters is also very critical. I still would have really enjoyed having that segment playable. That's just my opinion. One game that I think of that did that very well was GTA 4, how you're introduced to the city and things like that. I think it was with your cousin. But yeah, that was really cool. And it built this friendship, that felt very tangible, very real. And that's the thing, sometimes it's not about driving a plot. It's about building characters. And Jackie was just an awesome character. You can see there was so much more there, in my opinion. All right, so let's keep going on. Let's talk about this one right here. We have a VR mod coming up here, and it should be releasing in January if everything goes well. Luke Ross previously also made the GTA 5 Real and Red Dead Redemption 2 VR mod. So this guy knows a thing about modding VR into existing AAA experiences. We'll see what he can do with Cyberpunk. I'm extremely curious. I've got my Oculus Quest 2 ready to go. But we have this one right here. It says, Ross says that while Cyberpunk's Red Engine 4 is no more or less VR friendly than other engines, which is to say not particularly VR friendly at all, there are a few major things going for Cyberpunk that should smooth out the process. One major bonus about Cyberpunk 2077 is that it's already played in first person, he says, which is very good for VR immersiveness, unlike, for example, the Mafia trilogy, which he also ported to VR, where I had to implement my own fake first-person camera. That sounds like an absolute nightmare to try to develop something like that. So kudos to him. Now it makes me curious. I got to try this Mafia VR experience as well. But let me know. I'm curious about something. Let me know how many of you actually have an Oculus or are ready for a VR experience with Cyberpunk. I think it would be really cool. This city is absolutely beautiful. That's one thing that Cyberpunk really has going for it, as well as, I personally think it does have really good character story and things like that. But man, roaming around in this city in VR would be absolutely incredible. All right, I think you guys know what time it is now. It is time to go over your top comments. Be sure to leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a future video. By the way, if you made it this far into the video, I want to ask you guys, do you know what this is right here? If you actually do know what this is, post a comment down below. By all means, it'll show that you're like a true Cyberpunk fan, in my opinion. But let's get into this right now. An overall Cyberpunk fan, I guess you would say. But yeah, let's get into the comments. First of all, what was my previous Cyberpunk video even about? We have this one right here. Cyberpunk 2077, today's news. has me excited, but very worried. New updates about online multiplayer. So yeah, we had a new quote from CD Projekt Red that basically stated that they will be adding multiplayer activities to their game franchise. And it sounds like they're going to be starting with Cyberpunk, and it seems like their tone has changed related to online yet again. It used to be like simple online social settings that they were looking at because they backed off of like the whole AAA standalone Cyberpunk game that they were planning. But now it seems like they upgraded again and they want to add full-blown multiplayer activities to Cyberpunk. Let me know if that's your thing, but let's get into what you guys actually had to say about this one. First of all, we have Rodney Harris who says this: I wish they would give full focus to things like expansions and mod support before multiplayer. Hell yes. It says the game was supposed to be a single-player story-driven RPG first and foremost. It feels like they still have a lot of unfinished work to do when it comes to making this game closer to what was advertised in the marketing campaign. Couldn't agree with you more. I just think they should keep rolling out the expansions for this game and building upon it. But like I always say, they look at those concurrent numbers for GTA Online on Steam, wherever else, and they're like, man, that could be us. That's what every game publisher and developer, I swear to God, that's what they're doing right now. Then we have this comment right here. I don't know what this says. It says alpha something something. And he says this: the last thing they need to be doing is working on multiplayer for this game. They need to be working on adding depth to the game itself. Better, more in-depth customization with cyberware, bionics, better AI, better, more involved police with escalating reactions based on the type of crime you commit. More robust gang activities, ability to join gangs or factions, yes, and gain access to otherwise inaccessible cyberware and tech mods, etc. I love this idea, dude. It also ups the replayability of the game. It says each faction has a custom cybernetic mods you can only get by joining that gang or faction. And once you do, you can't join any other factions. Much more in-depth life paths with real consequences and bonuses for picking one over the other. Real story-based changes there. I think people were kind of wanting this. It says more attention paid to the loot and combat systems. Enemies shouldn't be so easy. They need better AI. So I'm going to keep reading your comment. Don't worry, but I'm going to take a step back here. I think, a lot of this stuff that you're talking about won't make it into, Cyberpunk 2077. Now, changing up the police AI, stuff like that. But when you get into new life paths or adding, critical paths per faction, locked loot, things like that, I think this stuff will make it into Cyberpunk 2. And I know a lot of you guys are like, whoa, what? Cyberpunk 2? It seems like they're going to start development of Cyberpunk 2 in 2022 alongside everything else. That's my theory. It's kind of like I've covered Star Wars Battlefront before. This happened with Battlefront. And the second one was, just a mess on the side of microtransactions and things like that. But anyway, the potential here, it's kind of reminding me of that same story with Battlefront 2, where they would add a ton more stuff. Hopefully they don't screw it up though. And it's not like the same story as Battlefront 2. But anyway, back to this one right here. We have the backstory for Jackie should be more than a 10-second montage. It needs to be consist of 6 to 10 hours worth of gameplay. Whoa, that's a long time. Getting to know this guy, that would be cool. Spending time with his family, running jobs with him, etc. before the inevitable fate. It'd be cool to be able to save him as well. That's another thing I would like to see as an option. And it says this game is missing so much that it needs in order to give it depth it deserves. It's just a shame that it seems like CD Projekt Red isn't interested in creating that sort of quality and is instead focusing on quantity and whatever it will make them the most money the quickest. Yay, I can't wait for monetized Battle Royale Cyberpunk. Can you? The sarcasm there. Man, I hope we don't see a Cyberpunk Battle Royale. I will just be like, what in the hell? I don't know. I'll lose it. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it seems like they are beginning to change things at CD Projekt Red though. One noteworthy thing that they did mention is they are officially listening to the dev team first when it comes to determining delays and release dates. They have to. These are the people that are in the trenches that know what's going on with the game. They need to start listening to them, and they base the delay for the next gen update about what the devs had to say first and foremost, not what their investors had to say, not what the board was saying, what their devs had to say. So to me, that's a good first sign in my opinion. So hopefully things are changing up, at CD Projekt Red. we'll have to wait and find out. But there it is, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you know what this is. Yeah, I'm a big fan of, what this comes from. So, yeah, Cyberpunk is definitely something that I absolutely love, obviously. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more Cyberpunk 2077 and open world gaming goodness. I have you guys covered. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.